Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Donald Trump, the president of the United States right now. As much as it is believed that this man is a staunch racist, he still somehow does things that make you say, man, this dude is about his business. We've already done videos. You've already seen me do videos about the things that he has promised to do and how he has either come through or done everything he could to come through on his promises. Donald J. Trump. You know what I'm saying? Can't knock him. He even, what is it, a few days ago, and I might do a video about this. Well, Bill Maher said he felt he was wrong about Trump when it came to these tariffs because he thought the nation would be bankrupt in 6 months. And he said he was wrong about it because it's August and we have a surplus of money coming in due to them tariffs to the country. Now he's saying now it may change over time. We don't know, but for right now, he said he is wrong. He was wrong about it. Donald Trump made deal. Donald Trump was a businessman. He's showing that forget politicians becoming the president. We need to knock out, take out lifelong politicians. Things should change over time. Sometimes you can't do the same. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, think you're gonna get a different result. That is called insanity. I call you ignorant if you think something's gonna change. So now we got someone in the office that is a businessman. People say, well, you know, filed bankruptcy here and this and the third. Man, still got millions, still doing deals. You know what I'm saying? Making millions as we speak. But y'all want to talk about his bankruptcy, but no, but yet you don't talk about your failed candle business or your failed uh cookie bakery business, doing what do you call them things? Vendor, trying to go to these vendor shows and you can't sell your necklaces and what I'm saying, can't sell your shea butter and your soap as much as you would like to, but you're still hanging on, but ain't making no money. I hate it. I'm gonna tell you like that. I've been on the same, I was in the same boat, did the same thing, did I, but it just for me, I think it was timing. At the time, it wasn't gonna work because I really didn't have time that I really needed to focus on that. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, but let me get out my monologue here. Let's get into the story. What we have here is Donald Trump is doing another thing that's great for the country. And I don't hear nobody saying anything about it, but doggone it, I'm going to. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
The presidential fitness test is back. Remember that?
Mhm.
Late today, President Trump signing an executive order reinstating the National Fitness Assessment,
Mhm.
a public school program started in the 1950s that asked students to perform a combination of push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and running. Those with
Said little girl cheat. I remember that. I remember doing this stuff. Not as a girl, not wearing dresses. But I remember doing this, and then you remember you run to the wall, and then somebody would try to cheat. They knew they couldn't get to the wall, so they'll stop stop when everybody else had already turned around. I remember doing this stuff. Those are the good old days.
high enough fitness scores eligible to receive the Presidential Physical Fitness Award, you may remember. In 1985, that included running a 3:30 half mile for 8-year-old boys and just under a 4-minute half mile for girls. For more, Dr. Jordan Metzl joins us now. He's a primary sports medicine doctor at the hospital.
Man, I remember having to run that mile back in the day. We used to have to do a mile. I remember I went to this one of the years I went to a private school. You had to do push-ups, pull-ups, climb up a rope, and you would have to run, like I said, around the gym so many times, and that would be a mile. And I'm talking about elementary, like young elementary, because I think last year I went was like fifth grade. So it might have been fifth grade. But I remember this little dude, this little Hispanic boy, we used to call him Mexican back then, but now that's politically incorrect. But this little Hispanic boy, he was a year older than Robert Camacho. Was it Robert Camacho? It was Robert. I remember it was Robert and Vincent. I don't know if they were brothers or they were cousins, but I think Robert was the one that was Athletic Vincent. You remember the cartoons? What was it? Speedy Gonzalez, and he had his cousin. Same thing. Same thing. His cousin was like, I forgot the name. Was it Slowpoke? But same thing. You know what I'm saying? Just trust me. But anyway, I remember Robert Camacho, that cat could run a mile in like 6 minutes. I mean, I'm running, jogging, shoot, I wasn't in shape. I ain't no runner like that. Hell, ain't no runner like that now. And that boy could run. He would run like a couple laps around me. Him and the coach was like the two, and Adrian Smith. Adrian Smith could run that sun gun fast too. But Robert would be running seemed like he'd be running full speed, no jogging. And that dude would finish a mile in freaking 6 minutes as a fifth grader. I bullcorn you not. Craziest thing I ever seen in my life.
Jordan Metzel joins us now. He's a primary sports medicine doctor at the Hospital for Special Surgery. Doctor, I like your headphones there. Thank you for joining Top Story tonight. So today, the White House and Health Secretary RFK recalling the way his uncle, President John F. Kennedy, advocated for youth fitness in the early 60s. You might know this phrase he coined, the soft American. Let's take a quick look at the JFK era program right now.
You've probably heard that American kids are getting soft.
Hmm.
The marshmallow generation, some people call them. Overstuffed and overindulged, they supposedly are incapable of hard work or response to challenge.
So this is back in the 60s. You see how nothing changes under the sun and history always repeats itself? That's why you never forget it. That's why you can't forget history, because if you forget it, then you like bound to repeat it.
In the early 60s, a primary concern was television. Now with phones and screens and video games. As a doctor, how concerned are you today about kids' fitness? Because you look at that video and that could seem, we understand the philosophy behind it, but it could also seem incredibly insensitive.
No.
Evening, Tom, and great to see you. And it's absolutely right that American kids are overweight and inactive. We have about 25% of our population under the age of 18 is overweight. About 80% do not meet CDC recommended levels of activity for general fitness.
80%. 80% of your kids don't get any activity. You know why they're doing this? You remember we talked about the military and how stories I've done talking about saying these kids need to go, these badass kids need to go to military school or go to the service or what have you, instead of going to prison. They said that 75% of the kids in this country are not fit to join the military. And so the United States government has a problem. They have a concern because as time go on and technology gets, grows and advances, kids get more lazier. Kids want to, and the funny thing about kids love being outside, especially boys. They love playing. I see it with the grandbabies. The boy, he loves to go outside. I know a lot of girls like to sit in the house and do nothing, be lazy or whatever, but they like to be outside. And for some reason, they're raised by these parents, if that's what you want to call them, and they make them stay in the house. They need to be outside for a little while. And I was at a meeting the other day at my job, and we went to a different clinic, and I just couldn't help but notice. I'm hearing kids outside playing, and I'm looking outside. There's like this little school. I think it's like a little Christian or religious school, and I see little kids playing. Little girls like these girls here, but they little bitty. Got on dresses like little girls should. The boys got on like little polo shirts and khaki shorts, and they're playing on swings and running around. It was early in the day while it was still shadow. But then like once they was out there, maybe like no more than 30 minutes. And then they go back inside. That's what kids are supposed to do. It took me back to my childhood. But then I know as time went on, I can remember when my kids were in school, it's like they didn't go outside. I think they got rid of PE for the most part. Or PE wasn't really PE like it was when I was in school. You used to get graded for PE. I think they brought it back. But it's like, PE was an easy grab. I got an incomplete in PE one time because I lost my binder. Because we should have to do like little projects and I lost it. But come to find out, it was in the bottom of my junkie locker. And once I turned in, I got an A, for that class. But still, it's not the same. But that's why they're doing it. That's one reason probably why they're doing it, because they know they need these kids to be in shape, because you may need it for the military. And then too, being in shape, it helps helps in that healthcare industry, because we always complain about how high, insurance is and how high medications are. Well, shoot, if everybody can be in shape and can eat right and exercise, you won't need it as much. Prices will come down because the demand will not be as high. But that's why.
All in with getting kids to move more. It's great for their health. Now, the question is whether a physical fitness test will inspire that. That's a different discussion, but definitely that video from JFK era is still true today, probably more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to ask you, though, what about the messaging, though, right? Because, I mean, the presidential physical fitness test was hard. I can remember it. I mean, I remember, I went to an all-boys school, and a handful of the kids would get it, even in our grade, and there was a lot of athletes in the grade. It's great to test yourself, right? Great to get in shape. But nowadays, we've learned so much about sort of mental health, right? And I'm not saying you have...
Dude, this dude here is caping. Is he a freaking Democrat? I mean, is he a liberal? Because what he's saying, what he's about to say, because I haven't watched this video, but I really want to see where he's going with this, what he's about to ask. But therein lies, to me, the problem. Worrying about how saying it, how you say it, don't want to hurt no feelings. You got to think of some people's mental health doing this. Could it hurt some feelings? Put kids in depression? The hell with that. Put them little son guns in depression. I'm just playing. I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you got to take drastic measures to get a result. You can't pussyfoot with these little kids no more. They don't have no discipline. You can't tell them nothing. If you do tell them something, their parents and their grandparents come up to the school and yelling at you, talking about why you talking to my kid like that, and why you talking about my kid, why you trying to embarrass my kid, and all this kind of crap. It's like, man, your kid is going to be an adult soon. You need to grow up so your child can grow up. They need to do some exercise. And you know what? The amazing thing about it? If your kid does some exercise, get physically fit, and eat right, eat more fruits and vegetables, and less Pop-Tarts and Dr. Peppers, their mental health, most likely, I guarantee, will improve significantly. Get away from the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A and all them chemicals and stuff, and go out there and plant you something in the backyard, or something on your patio, or whatever, or go to a farmer's market and buy your food instead of going to a store and running down the middle aisles finding chips and cookies and cereals and milk and cow milk and stuff of that nature, and try to get stuff on the outside. You can get a little bit of dairy, you get some eggs, here and there, but don't try to overdo it. But if you feed your kids right, physically, with activities, and feed them right nutritiously, it will translate to the mental. Seriously. But let's see what he's about to ask.
You have to be soft on kids, or you have to be soft in general. But I do get concerned about maybe sending the wrong message to kids, especially when they're growing up, and weight can be an issue.
Shoot, man, hell, I was called fat when I was a kid. I wasn't like big, but you could tell I was overweight. I wasn't big as a lot of the motherfuckers, but shoot, I had seen some gun that was huge. Yeah, you get called out, get called out of shape, fat, ugly, whatever, hair nappy. Man, that's just growing up. But now, like I say, you say something bad to a child, they want to cry and run off to their mama and go suck on their mama titty. I'm sorry. Mama, you need to put your titties up from your kids. Give it, reserve that for your husband. And let these boys grow up and be men.
Sure.
So they can get their new titty back when they get grown.
We want to figure out how we can get everybody more active. I think one of the big problems we have is we have kind of a hyper specialized upper echelon of very active kids that are the elite level soccer players, baseball players, a lot of resources for those kids. The bottom part of the iceberg, the people who are less active or inactive, we have a much bigger problem with that part of our population. So we want to figure out how we get those people active. I'm not certain whether the presidential physical fitness test is going to be, the hill I want to put my flag on to say this, if we do this or don't do this, it's going to make a difference. We definitely need to think about how we get our population more active, particularly our kids more active. One thing we definitely know is that active kids become active teens, active kids after teens become active adults. And the number one factor in terms of kids staying active across their lifespan is enjoyment and community. So whatever that means in terms of what they do, whether or not they play NBA or Major League Baseball or
What? Them girls playing football? You saw that? Oh man. Oh man, look at that. That girl. Watch that again. First, I'm surprised that these girls are playing basketball past half. I mean, they can actually dribble. Because back in the day, I don't think girls could dribble. I'm talking about allowed to dribble, not couldn't dribble. They they weren't allowed to dribble. They weren't allowed to play past half court for a long time. Until up to like that, I think the 50s, I think. If I remember my mom and dad telling me that.
Thing we definitely know is that active kids become active teens, active kids after teens become active adults, and the number one factor in terms of kids staying
dribbling full court
active across their lifespan is enjoyment and community. So whatever that means in terms of what they do, whether or not they play NBA or Major League Baseball or NFL, getting them active and getting them going is a key. And we need to keep thinking about ways to make sure we're doing that for everyone.
Yeah, I want to take you back to the great 1980s. And I don't know if I remember this moment or if I saw it, but President George H.W. Bush it's actually 1991, inviting Arnold Schwarzenegger to come out to sort of be the spokesperson, if you will, and that model of fitness. He invited him to the White House to promote what he called the Great American Workout. What would it take, do you think, today, with all the screens, all the apps, all the video games, to get kids excited about staying healthy?
Well, I think the downside is that people are less active because of those things, but there's also an opportunity, thinking about the way we get, why do some fitness brands succeed online and others have had a big problem? And we have a capacity to think about gamification. Look at Arnold there and all these kids, they're smiling. One thing we've learned is that either in person or even virtual gamification increases compliance in any activity. That's why people are doing TikTok, because it's fun. So how do we think about combining physical activity and fun and community and fun? We can make virtual communities in different.
Look at that old George Bush, George H.W. doing more push-ups than probably I've done in a long time.
Different ways than we can make them before. So it's not all bad news. We have to be creative about how we do it, what kind of reward systems we set up. There's a lot of, I think, really exciting things that can be part of this discussion as well. I think the focus, though, needs to be the human body is the same body. It needs to move. It needs to be active. It needs to be well fed. And we need to lay off some of the junky foods, which is another part of the problem as well.
Yeah, a lot of those processed foods can be a danger. And doctor, what tips do you give to parents out there with kids to set a good example, right? To make sure their kids do stay somewhat active?
No, I think very active. I think the key we know for is that fit families make a big difference. So, parents finding activities to do with their kids, activities that they can all do together, going for a walk. I remember growing up, we used to do like Wednesday nights, we would go to the local track with my brothers and parents, and we'd have like evening night at the track. It was fun at the time. I used to look forward to that a lot. So figure out what kind of activities you can do. These kids seem to be having a great time playing with those hula hoops, but figure out what kind of activities you can do all together as a group. But making communities, making fit families, making fit activities that people like doing, those are all great things to think about.
Evening night at the track. Okay, I'm going to write that one down. I'm going to see what my kids say tonight when I propose that one.
Sure, I remember too, like the local school, that it used to be a lot of, parents, especially like women for sure, and they be walking around the track, around the football field. And they have like a stroller and they be pushing their kids around, trying to get back in shape. I mean, they were actually trying to do things to get in shape and to get their bodies right. And then again, when you got your kids out there, you showing what they say, do as I say, not as I do, does not work. If they see you out there trying to do things to get in shape and do right, get your body right, eat right, eventually they'll fall in line. It may take years, it may be quick, it may take a while, but eventually they'll fall in line with that. But you gotta get out there and do it yourself, and you gotta motivate your kids to do it too.
I think it sounds like a great idea. Doctor, thanks so much for joining Top Story.
My pleasure. Great to see you.
We thank
you. And this brings me to one more thing. Remember, I did a video not too long ago. It was about a bunch of kids who I guess I want to say infiltrated a pool. They said they supposed to went to a pool. They had somebody advertised a pool party. But for some reason, they ended up not going to the original place. They ended up going to the other pool. Police was called. Body cam footage was shown on the news story. And I was talking about the bodies of these kids, especially like the girls. And I wasn't in no way, shape, or form talking about it in a sexual nature. I was talking about these girls ain't wearing nothing. They're trying to show off midriffs, and all of them look like they're out of shape. Even the skinny ones, they look like they had baby fat still on. But these girls look like they might have been either mid to late teens, probably early 20s. Now the boys, they look, saying skinny, like they ain't 8. You know what I'm saying? You got boys that tall. A lot of these boys are tall and skinny now. That's kind of weird. I wonder why. And the girls are like short and fat. I wonder why that is so. But anyway, that's what I was saying. It's like you can tell that those kids are out of shape. I know somebody, a girl who was like skinny, who had a heart attack. And when they did like a BMI test, or they did like it's like I forgot how they did the test, but one of the most sophisticated tests you could take to look at your body mass index. And she was like, her fat content was a lot more than what you would have thought it would have been for somebody her size, because she was what you call quote unquote skinny, but she had no muscle tone. She's out of shape. She just didn't gain a whole lot of weight, but there was no muscle to it. And so that's what I was saying. That video that I did is like these kids look like they sit around on the phone, because that's what most people do. That's why I wouldn't nobody in the pool, because all they do is sit on the side of the pool, or they go to the club or somewhere to the games, and they sitting down, they ain't watching, they are oblivious to what's going on in the rest of the world, and they on their phones looking and scrolling. It's what they do 24 hours a day, except when they sleep. And that's it. Probably try to do it if they could do it while they were asleep, they would. But my thing is, no one is doing any kind of activity. And so you got girls that have no self-esteem, girls that have like no motivation, ain't doing no exercise, walk around like boys, walk around with the same posture as boys do, trying to walk over the slump shoulder and stuff, looking like they all tough and hard, voice deep, probably because they don't even practice talking. You know what I'm saying? Trying to talk, you know what I'm saying? Just, there's no activity there. There's no physical activity. So I was saying, like I said, these youngsters looking like little, you know what I'm saying, little fat babies. But we would call them skinny, but not really big. But you can tell just by their bodies that they have no muscle tone, and they need to get out. They need to do some kind of exercise, because we do have an epidemic or a problem where you see 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds having heart attacks and strokes. And it's not making sense. A lot of people want to attribute it to the COVID to the COVID-19. Okay, no, COVID-19 shot. Okay, that's fine. You can do that, but that's not everybody. That's not all of them. It's it's just a lack of movement, a lack of exercise, and a lack of and poor nutrition. So shout out to Donald Trump for trying to get the kids back in shape. I'm sure people gonna say, like this dude tried to say, what about their feelings and stuff? The hell with their feelings. The hell with their feelings. You got to do what you got to do as a parent to get your kids in shape. They'll hate you for it now, but they'll appreciate it when they get grown. They will. When they start seeing their friends falling off. Kind of remember Boys in the Hood, when Trey was mad at his daddy because his daddy made him do chores around the house, and Trey couldn't go out there and hang with them all the time, and they, maybe in the daytime, but at night you at home, you out there doing what they doing, and Trey's asking questions like, why I gotta do all this? And he was like, in furious saying, you say, just wait. You're gonna see what happened to them boys, because they pretty much ain't got no daddy around, or they do what they want to do, living in these streets. You see what happened. You're gonna see what happened to them in years' time. And then sure enough, I know it's a movie, but that's real life stuff. That's real life stuff. So anyway, get off my soapbox. Tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. And with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.